Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever looked into someone's eyes and felt a connection so intense, yet heard nothing at all? That silence, what if it's not emptiness, but everything he's too afraid to say? Today, we're not just decoding mixed signals, we're uncovering the quiet symphony of love that plays when words fall short. Imagine missing out on a love that's been silently blooming right beside you, just because you weren't listening to what wasn't said. Scary, isn't it? But thrilling too. Because by the end of this, you'll know how to see what others miss, how to feel what's hidden beneath still waters, and maybe, just maybe, discover that someone has been choosing you in secret every single day. Quick question, when was the last time someone made eye contact just a second too long? Yeah, let's talk about that. He remembers the little things you forgot you even said, not the dramatic, heart-spilling conversations or the major events of your life. Those are easy. Anyone can recall your birthday or the big exam you were nervous about. But he holds on to the fragments, the passing mentions, the small, throwaway details that most people let slide into silence. You told him once, absent-mindedly, that your favorite color changes depending on your mood, and a week later, he shows up wearing that exact shade, not for show, not for attention, just because he remembered. It was never a spectacle for him. In fact, you didn't even notice at first. He didn't say anything. He never does. He's not collecting these memories to throw them in your face later or prove how much he knows. He stores them because they matter to him, because you matter to him. Maybe you once mentioned how you always hated thunderstorms as a kid, that they made you feel like the sky was arguing with itself. And on a rainy night when thunder shakes the windows, he texts you not with dramatic concern, just a simple, "You okay?" It's subtle, like the wind slipping through a door you didn't know was open. But in that moment you realize he was listening, not just hearing, listening. He took a passing sentence and anchored it deep within him, like it was a piece of treasure. That's the thing about people who love quietly. They don't show up with grand gestures or poetic declarations. They love in the margins, in the spaces between. They take your overlooked words and weave them into meaning. You might forget you ever mentioned how much you loved a certain type of flower your grandmother used to grow, but he didn't. One day, without a word, he leaves a single bloom on your desk, no note attached. You don't even realize what it means at first. And then it hits you, he remembered something you barely remembered saying. That's not coincidence, that's care. It's easy to say, "I love you." But it's harder to live it in moments that don't ask for anything grand. Love like his doesn't need a spotlight, it needs space. Space to observe, to remember, to hold you in his mind in a way that feels sacred. He notices when your tone changes, when your laugh fades a little too quickly. He picks up on the unspoken, not because he's trying to decode you, but because he's tuned in. You are the frequency he's always listening to, even in static. There was that one time you joked about how much you love oddly shaped mugs, the weirder the better. It wasn't a confession, it was a passing quirk. And a month later, he hands you a lumpy ceramic cup that looks like it barely survived the kiln, but your smile says everything. He noticed, he remembered, not because he needed to impress you, but because your joy matters to him, even in the quietest, weirdest ways, especially in those ways. Love like that doesn't scream, it whispers, and those whispers linger in the smallest moments. Like when he brings you your coffee just the way you like it, 2 sugars, 1 stir, extra foam without asking, or when he knows you need space before you even say a word, and simply offers his silence beside you like a gift. These aren't grand gestures. They're small, deliberate acts of attention, and attention is love in its purest form. He doesn't take notes on you, he knows you, not like a checklist, but like a rhythm. You say something once, half laughing, half serious, and he stores it like it's gospel. You might forget the moment, but he files it away like it's part of a larger story he's always reading. The story of you. And it's not just about remembering facts. It's about what those facts mean to him. When he recalls that you hate the taste of mint because it reminds you of hospital visits as a child, he's not just showing off his memory. He's protecting you from discomfort. When he avoids playing a certain song because you once said it made you cry, he's shielding you in silence. No announcements, no need for credit, just action born out of remembrance. Because when someone loves you quietly, they're not trying to impress you, they're trying to understand you. They want to hold space for your complexities, your contradictions, your tiny truths that most people miss. And in doing so, they make you feel seen in a world that's too busy shouting to really listen. He finds excuses to be near you without making it obvious. Not in the way that demands attention, not with dramatic gestures or over-the-top antics, but in subtle, calculated ways that slide under your radar until one day you look back and realize he was always there, always just within reach. He doesn't crowd your space, doesn't cling, doesn't force his presence. Instead, he shows up consistently, quietly, and always with a reason. There's always something he needs, a question he has to ask, a task he just remembered he has to do right where you are. And every time it seems completely natural, coincidental even. But somewhere deep down, you start to sense a pattern, and that pattern is no accident. He's mastered the art of proximity, staying close enough to feel your energy, hear your laugh, catch your expressions, but not close enough to make anyone suspicious, especially not you. It could be at work, where he somehow always ends up in the same group project, or chooses the desk next to yours during meetings. Maybe it's in your friend circle, where he casually joins plans you didn't even realize he was invited to. He'll say things like, "Oh, I was already going to be there anyway," or "I needed a break, figured I'd tag along," and you nod, not thinking twice. But he wasn't just going to be there. He chose to be. He aligned his path with yours, gently and intentionally, like gravity pulling him towards something he can't admit he wants. It's not desperation, it's presence. There's a difference. Desperation clings. Presence lingers. He doesn't ask for more than what you're already giving, but he offers more than what's required. You mention you're stopping by a bookstore after class, and suddenly he remembers he needs a new journal. You say you're thinking of trying a new coffee spot, and he's actually been meaning to go there too. And even when he's not directly part of your plan, he finds ways to cross your orbit, bumping into you at the store, showing up at the same event, joining conversations that somehow steer him in your direction. Sometimes it's not even about physical space, it's digital too. You post a story, and within minutes he replies with something clever but casual, never overstepping. You send a message, and he responds like he's been waiting for it, but never lets on that he was. He times his presence so it feels organic, so it feels like fate, but it isn't. It's intention wrapped in coincidence, curiosity disguised as casualness. There's a kind of magic in how he navigates this closeness, because he knows that if he's too obvious, you might pull away. So he tiptoes, not out of fear, but out of respect for your space, for the fragile possibility that something real might grow. He doesn't demand attention. He offers his. He doesn't announce his care. He places it quietly in the spaces between your plans. You don't even realize how many times he's adjusted his day to match yours, how often he's shown up just to hear you speak, to be part of your world without shaking it. He becomes a consistent presence, not loud, not flashy, just reliable, and that reliability begins to feel comforting, natural. You don't question why he's always around because it never feels forced. He blends in like a favorite song playing softly in the background, not asking to be noticed, but making everything feel a little warmer. And when he's not there, you notice, not because of his absence, but because of the quiet shift in energy, like something familiar is missing. Sometimes he offers help you didn't ask for, with things you didn't think he was paying attention to. You're struggling with your laptop, and he just happens to know how to fix it. You mention you've been swamped with errands, and he suggests grabbing coffee together under the guise of helping you out. Always helpful, always near, always just one step inside your day without ever feeling like an intruder. That's the balance he's mastered. He never oversteps, but he's never too far either. And somewhere along the way, you realize that he's not just conveniently around, he's choosing to be. Every single time. There's no need for declarations or dramatic moments because the truth is already in the pattern, in the timing, in the way he always seems to find a reason to show up again and again. His jealousy shows in silence, not words. You won't hear him say it out loud. He won't confront you with questions or demand explanations. But when someone else captures your attention, his energy shifts. It's not obvious, but it's real. A sudden quietness replaces his usual ease. He laughs a little less, speaks a little softer, withdraws just enough for you to feel it, but not enough to call it out. You'll catch it in the way his eyes follow you when you're talking to someone else, in the pause before he responds when you mention another guy's name, in the way he suddenly becomes busy or distracted when you share stories about your time with someone else. It's not because he wants to punish you or play games. It's because he doesn't know how to voice what he feels without exposing everything he's trying so hard to hide. There's a stillness in him that only shows up in these moments, a kind of restrained tension. His body remains still, but there's movement in his silence. It speaks. It echoes louder than words ever could, and if you're paying attention, you'll feel it. You'll notice how he shuts down the conversation quicker, or how he gives a half smile instead of the full one you're used to. You'll sense a distance that wasn't there before, not cold, but hesitant. It's as if he's pulling back just enough to protect himself from what he doesn't want to feel, and it's not your fault. It's not even about anything you've done. It's about the war going on inside him, the desire to act like everything's fine, and the ache of watching you connect with someone who isn't him. He's not the type to cause a scene. He won't challenge the other guy, won't roll his eyes or make sarcastic comments. Instead, he lets the silence speak for him. You might find yourself wondering, did I say something wrong, or is he upset? And you wouldn't be wrong, but he won't confirm it. He won't give you the satisfaction or the burden of knowing, because his jealousy isn't about control. It's about longing, about wanting something that feels just out of reach.
It's about watching you from the edge of closeness, knowing he doesn't have the right to step in, and yet not being able to stop the sting when someone else steps closer.
He'll congratulate you on the compliment another man gave you, but his words will be brief. He'll say, "That's nice," when you talk about another guy helping you, but his tone will be neutral, unreadable. The enthusiasm will be missing. And he knows you'll notice, but he also hopes you won't dig. Because if you did, you might discover what he's spent all this time trying to keep buried, that he cares more than he lets on, that he's been quietly holding space for something he's not sure he's allowed to claim. You'll see it in the way he changes the subject, suddenly bringing up something unrelated just to shift your focus. You'll feel it in the way he stops texting first for a day or two, like he's giving himself space to recover from the internal sting. You might even find him being unusually quiet when you hang out in a group, especially if someone new has your attention, and you'll wonder if he's okay. But when you ask, he'll smile and say he's just tired. That smile won't quite reach his eyes. But then, in a different moment, when you're both alone and the world feels quiet again, he'll return to himself. He'll make you laugh again. He'll listen like he always does. Because his silence doesn't mean he loves you any less. It means he loves you more than he's ready to admit. It means he's trying to keep his feelings from showing too loudly, trying not to ruin the friendship or the fragile balance between you. His jealousy isn't fueled by ego, it's fueled by hope, the kind that waits patiently and suffers quietly. And while others may storm and shout, his feelings build up in the calmest ways, like pressure under the surface of still water. You'll never see the explosion because he won't allow it. But every now and then you'll see the ripple, the pause, the flicker in his eyes when someone else's name makes you smile, and you'll realize, even if just for a moment, that his silence isn't empty. It's full of everything he doesn't know how to say. His actions speak the love his lips won't confess. He won't say the words "not yet," maybe not ever, but you'll feel them in the way he shows up, in the way he stays. Love, for him, isn't made of declarations or dramatic confessions. It's stitched into the fabric of ordinary days. When you're overwhelmed, he somehow knows without you having to explain. He doesn't offer shallow advice or empty comfort, he offers presence. He's the one who sits beside you when you don't want to talk. The one who remembers how you take your coffee and brings it just the way you like it, without asking. He'll walk you home without making a big deal of it, check if you ate today without sounding like a parent, and notice when something feels off, even when you insist everything's fine. He doesn't say, "I love you," but you feel it in every quiet, thoughtful move he makes. It's in the way he watches out for you when you don't even realize you need it. Like when you're walking across the street and his hand instinctively reaches to guide you back from a passing car, not thinking, just reacting. Or when he stays up late to help you finish something, even though he's got 100 things of his own to do. He'll never mention how tired he is, never complain. Because what matters to you matters to him, even if he doesn't say it. Especially because he doesn't say it. Words can be faked. Actions can't. And he knows that. So he lets his choices speak in a language your heart understands before your mind catches up. He's there for your little wins and silent defeats. He notices when you cut your hair, even if you only trimmed the ends. He holds doors open not because he's trying to impress you, but because he genuinely wants to make things easier for you. He pays attention to the details that others overlook: the way you bite your lip when you're nervous, the songs you skip on your playlist when you're sad, the way your energy changes when you're around certain people. He sees you fully, and instead of pointing it out, he adapts, supports, protects, without calling it love, without demanding anything in return. Sometimes he buys you snacks he knows you like, or remembers something random you mentioned weeks ago and brings it up just when you'd forgotten it yourself. He listens with the kind of attention that turns your passing thoughts into permanent memories. You'll say something in passing, something about a movie you loved as a child or a dream you had once, and he'll bring it back to life in a gesture weeks later. And you'll realize he wasn't just listening, he was holding onto your words like they meant something. Because to him, they do. He stands up for you even when you're not around to see it. Defends you in conversations where others might stay silent. Not because he's trying to win your favor, but because he believes in you deeply. And when you're feeling lost, confused, or broken, he doesn't tell you to toughen up. He simply stays close, steady, and grounded, like an anchor in your storm. He'll never say, "I'm here for you," but he'll be there, every time, without fail, without needing to be asked. There's a kind of beauty in the way he expresses love, not loud, not public, but real. His loyalty isn't performative, it's quiet and constant. He doesn't post about you, but he prioritizes you. Doesn't shower you with compliments, but he'll fix your chair if it wobbles. He'll notice when your coat looks worn and casually offer his own without a word. And when you talk about your struggles, he doesn't minimize them. He listens, he nods, and he carries your heaviness without asking for recognition. You'll find him checking on you when no one else does. You'll notice how he stands slightly in front of you when you're walking through a crowd like a silent guard. You'll see how he reacts when someone else makes you laugh, that flicker of something in his eyes he quickly hides. And even though he doesn't say how he feels, you'll know. Because everything he does tells you he cares. Tells you that your happiness is his peace, that your pain affects him more than he'll ever admit. His love isn't loud, but it's there in the quietest corners of your day. In the way he remembers your routines, in the way he adjusts to your needs, in the way he never lets you feel alone, even when he's not saying a word. He speaks in actions, and those actions carry a kind of truth that words often fail to deliver.